Welcome to the first edition of the Open the Pit podcast. I'm Matt, and this podcast is going to be a little bit of an experiment. I originally started this YouTube channel in hopes of turning it into some kind of music review channel, but I realized that after I flirted around with the camera, I'm kind of like a frightened turtle in front of it. So I thought podcasting would be the better avenue for what I'm trying to do here. I used to have a podcast in high school, so I'm a little bit familiar with the format. So I apologize if the audio quality isn't really all it should be. I'm currently using a Rock Band mic mounted on a stand here, and I'm actually standing in front of it. Like I couldn't find a way to manipulate it in a way that I could sit and comfortably reach it at the same time. So I'm actually standing in the dark in my basement recording this right here. I feel a little bit like Robert Plant, but without the tight jeans and the massive penis to go around with it. So there's that. I do have better recording equipment, but I got a little frustrated working with it, so I figured this would be all right for the time being. I'm not really sure anyone's going to listen to this in the first place. Um, so this podcast, like I said, is going to be an experiment. Um, like I sit around all day thinking about music. Like I like to say that I know a little about a lot of things, but only a lot about some things. And music is one of those things. And so I sit around all day thinking about music, bands, songs, and stuff like that. And I have very few people that are interested in the same music I am. And I mean, I've gone on Reddit and looked for other people with similar interests, and it's just a shit show sometimes on different websites. So here I am just clearing my thoughts so I don't have to bother other people with my thoughts or get in fights with stupid people on the internet. And I'm probably one of those stupid people, so I want to talk. So that's kind of the gist of what this is going to be is just musical discussion. I know that's insanely general and vague, but I'm looking at maybe some reviews in here now that I don't have to do it on camera. But also, I'm just thinking of something along the lines of taking songs, albums, whatever works best, and just discussing either my interpretation of it or someone else's. Like I'm looking maybe to have some people as guests, friends, family, that sort of thing, and just our overall interpretations of these songs, what they've meant to us, in-depth look at the lyrics, how the instrumentals made us feel, just kind of a dissection of the song without going super into musical theory. This is not going to be a musical theory sort of thing. It's more of an emotion-based thing. Um, I'm not totally trying to pick apart these songs to the point where it's totally different from what the artist intended, but I mean, music is super subjective, so maybe that's what I'm trying to do in the first place. Um, but so for right now, it's just going to be me doing this. I'm just going to take some songs that I find particularly interesting to talk about, or something that meant something to me. And then if I can find some people to do it along with me, then that'll be cool. You know, it's fascinating how music can hit someone at a certain time, at a certain point in their life. And that's exactly what I'm striving to examine here. And also just things like sometimes I think about bands that I enjoyed in high school that now I am appalled, and I mean appalled to think that I once liked. And it's sort of that thing. Like it can be like it doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, this is the point where I lost all my hopes and dreams. It can be happy stuff too, just something that you're currently jamming on right now that you really like. But I just kind of want to go into why we feel that way and what makes the song good and how we feel about it, that sort of thing. So without further ado, I'm just going to go straight into the first song I want to talk about. This was a song recently released by a band called The Dirty Nil. Now, if you've never heard of The Dirty Nil before, they're a Canadian band, super one of my favorite bands ever. And in fact, I'm really disappointed because with the coronavirus and everything like that, I won't be able to see them in the fall/winter like I have for the past 3 years. They toured with Against Me a couple years ago. That was the first time I ever saw them, and then they had two solo shows that were absolutely fantastic. Um, so the Dirty Nil are kind of an odd band to classify. I know people sometimes don't really like classifying things, but at the same time, that's how you're going to find bands that you like. At first glance, I would consider them overall to be a hard rock band. That's the most general term I can think of, but with influences of punk, alternative, maybe even a little power pop thrown in there. There's definitely some Cheap Trick, some Weezer, some Guided by Voices in there a little bit. But overall, I would just call them hard rock. I think they're a band that a lot of people can enjoy. Um, their sound has taken an interesting turn as of late. Their earliest work was super chaotic. I shouldn't say super, but it was kind of a more chaotic, raw-throated, just wild brand of rock and roll. Luke Bentham is one of my favorite vocalists ever. I have no idea how he was able to tour for like 10 years with that kind of scream shouted vocals without shredding his voice, but maybe he did. I don't know. And they kind of continued with that sound in their second record of Master Volume, which is probably my favorite record of all time, but they polished up the sound a little bit to make it a little bit more precise. Not as totally crazy, and again, the production was a little bit cleaner than the first record, but I like the production on the first record. I like their wildness. But again, super great. And so they've released a couple singles since then, and they have a new album coming out soon. And the sound has taken a little bit of a change into what I said, a bit of a more power pop, kind of classic Cheap Trick, Weezer sort of sound. But I think it really works. I think they're doing a really great job with it, and I think it's the logical next step in the evolution of their sound. So the first single that they released recently was "I'm Done with Drugs," which was fantastic, and then the one that I'm going to talk about is "Doom Boy." Now, I have a kind of a funny story, well, not funny, but kind of a silly story with Doom Boy. So when I saw them last December, they played 3 new songs. One of them was, I believe, called "Hello Jealousy." The next one was "Elvis 77," and the third being, of course, "Doom Boy." Now, when they played that song, it was one of the more bizarre tracks I've ever heard from them, and I had no idea what to expect when they started playing with it. The song started with almost like this hardcore, like New York hardcore mixed with like crossover thrash intro, and then just ascends into this like the catchiest song they've ever written. It was totally bizarre, but I was just absolutely enthralled and enamored with that song. And the people around me were kind of stopped in the pit and were kind of like, wait, what is this? And ever since then, I've been bugging them on Instagram to release the damn song. And so I continue doing that. And also a couple people did the same thing. So I guess I'm not in the minority in terms of people that like that song. And then they did a live stream back when the virus kind of started and everyone was on lockdown. And I requested Doom Boy. And Kyle, their drummer, said it to Luke, and they kind of just laughed it off, and they're like, "Yeah, okay, Doom Boy, we'll see about that." So I thought that my luck had turned there, and that just meant that it was just a throwaway song that they were experimenting with, and they didn't really like it, so they just threw it away. I was very wrong in those regards. So a couple days ago, I opened up Instagram to see a post from the Dirty Nil with a picture of like a dog emoji, and the caption says "Doom Boy released." Now, I was on the toilet at the time, so I couldn't exactly jump up and scream with glee, but I would have if I was in a less precarious situation. So, of course, I throw the song on, and it's even better than when I heard it live. They cut some of the fat off of it, so it's even trimmer, and it's just one of the best songs. And I see it as a song that I would be pissed them leaving off their set list in the future. I mean, songs like "Wrestle You to Husker Du" and like "Auf Wiedersehen" and "Zombie Eyed" would be like those, but now like I would take those off the set list if Doom Boy was on there. So going into the song a little bit, like I said, it's very bizarre for a Dirty Nil song. Like I'd almost be afraid to show someone this song as the first Dirty Nil song they ever heard simply because of the intro. Again, it's like this New York like hardcore, almost like Turnstile-esque thing mixed with like some like maybe Nuclear Assault crossover kind of sound, maybe even some Power Trip influence on there. And it goes for that for a couple seconds, and then some harmonics, and then it just goes straight into the verse, which again is one of the most catchy songs I've ever heard. Super power pop-ish, can definitely hear the Cheap Trick influence. And then when they burst into the chorus, one of the most explosive things I've ever heard. And the lyrics are also a point of discussion here too. Dirty Nil also they kind of consider themselves to be more just rock and roll, straight kind of like they talk more about their instrumentals really than their lyrics. But I'll tell you, like once you get kind of just the wall of wailing guitars and all the other instruments, I mean their lyrics are very philosophical in a way and really quite profound. I find myself like they're very like though the lyrics are very scream along, at the same time sometimes when I'm screaming their lyrics at the end at their shows, like I kind of sit back and like, huh, Really? I never thought about things like that before. So just kind of stuff like that. But they really definitely went with a more fun approach with this. I would almost consider the song to be an ode to alt chicks. Like with lyrics, like, do you like the Cro-Mags and Turnstile? If you do, I'm begging you to come with me. Let me be your Doom boy. Almost reminds me of the Doomer Girl meme in a way. And then listening to Slayer in the back of my Dodge Caravan. I mean, like, what an ode right there. How romantic listening to Slayer with an alt chick in the back of your Dodge Caravan. I can't think of a better way. And then after that, it goes into one of the best solos Luke's ever ripped. And then after that, immediately back into the chorus, just explodes. I'm using words like explodes and explosives a lot because I can't really think of a better term. I mean, it's just an explosive song. This is a song that you will break the speed limit to. And after all that, it goes back kind of into the intro, into another super hardcore like thing. Like, I can almost imagine the hardcore kids windmilling and spin kicking and all that shit to just the end of this song, which is really quite something to say. But anyway, that's the song in a nutshell. Just a really, really unique take. I really can't think of anyone who's ever mixed genres like hardcore and crossover thrash, hard rock, and power pop before. I mean, there's kind of like those easy core bands that kind of do that, but they're nothing compared to what they did with this song. So what makes this song great? Why do I like it so much? And I mean, I already went into how unique it is with how they tried with the hardcore intro, with the rest of the song. And I mean, that fits in with the song's lyrics, so that's pretty ingenious of them. And also, again, back to the lyrics of why I think it's so great, is though that the lyrics are tongue-in-cheek, it totally has this kind of sense of adolescent longing in it that I think so many of us have felt before. It reminds me of high school days, and I think it probably will for a lot of people as well. And again, the vocal performance by Luke is fantastic. Again, he's cleaned up his vocals on this one. There's almost no shouting, no ragged vocals on this. But again, it really works. His clean vocals are fantastic as well. Ross's, their bassist backing vocals are terrific and wild as ever. Kyle's drumming is fantastic. This is just a well-structured, well-put-together song that's just fun. It's energetic. The lyrics are tongue-in-cheek, but at the same time are relatable. Also, I completely forgot about how great the production is on the song. Super punchy, super in your face. I'm assuming it's John Goodmanson doing the job on this one again, but I can't be sure. But anyway, again, overall a great track. If you're looking for something that's fun, something you can shout along to, a great drive-along song, but something that's unique, some twists and turns in it, I can't really find a better song for you right now. I'm super pumped for the new record. This pairs terrifically with the last single, and I'm not sure if they're going to release another single, but I just can't wait for the new record. Anyway, that's all I'll say about this song. In the future, I'll probably go into more of an in-depth feel about it, but since this song just came out not too long ago, I haven't really had exactly the time to kind of ingest it and associate it with any aspects of my life other than breaking the speed limit to it. I mean, I suppose there was the era where I was just hoping for it to be released. In fact, I found this one video, someone that had recorded most of their show in Chicago, and they had like a 1-minute snippet of this song. So I like downloaded the entire video and cut it down just so I could have that song. So whenever I wanted to listen to the song before it was released, I would just scroll through my phone and listen to the shitty quality. Actually, I don't think it was that bad of quality, but anyway, it wasn't studio quality of that song. And I would try to just learn the guitar parts of that one part and then the lyrics from that. That was how desperate I was for the song to be released. But anyway, I'm super glad that it was out now. And in the future, again, I'm going to be looking to go into more in-depth things, hopefully with songs that I've known for a longer time, so I can kind of talk up the stories behind it and how they've affected me. And also with other people as well, if I can get people to do that. And also maybe looking to go through albums as well for maybe a longer sort of amount of time. I was looking right now to go for more of kind of like a punk rock kind of DIY kind of thing with shorter podcasts, because I know most podcasts run anywhere from more to like a half an hour to like 2 hours sometimes. And really, when you no offense to those podcasts, but even like really good ones, there's only about 20 minutes in each of those that are really engaging or worth listening to. A lot of the rest is just kind of banter and rambling, kind of like I'm doing right now. So, but that's the reason why I'm trying to go shorter. Maybe shorter for the song podcast, and maybe longer for the album ones, where I'll break things down track by track and like my dislikes, likes about it, how it's held up. But anyway, thanks so much for listening if you did, and hopefully I'll have more content soon. Thanks.